What up, YouTube? This is Steven Talbert, and this is my reaction to the Microsoft press conference. First, I really want to start my thoughts with pretty much a tweet that I saw that pretty much represents the Microsoft press conference how I saw it. And this tweet was from Ryan McCaffrey. Ryan McCaffrey is an IGN editor who wrote for also the Xbox magazine, and he's just a really well-known kind of person who follows Xbox. And he gave a really insightful tweet that basically said, this is kind of the Microsoft that we really haven't seen this generation. They are very much on the offensive right now rather than being on the defensive. And this is what I really think is really the truth of the matter. Looking at kind of the overall about the press conference, I think this press conference is exactly what Microsoft really wanted in terms of like the PR angles and all sorts of type of things. Like the way they projected kind of the hardware, the way they showed games, and the way they did their partnerships. It really was, in a sense, like almost a flawless in terms of like everything went really perfect for Microsoft in a sense. Maybe except for a couple like demonstrations, but overall it was a pretty solid outing, I think, overall for Microsoft. So to begin this, let's start with hardware. So so basically, we had hardware announced, and so the first piece of hardware that got announced was the Xbox Slim, and the Xbox Slim is pretty much interesting. It's a very much smaller Xbox One, and it has a built-in power supply. It has 4K. It can play 4K DVDs. It can also do 4K stuff, which is actually real surprising because for a lot of things like the PlayStation Neo, especially the PlayStation Scorpio, a lot of people thought, this is the primary thing for these devices or was to be able to do 4K. But in this, with this PlayStation Slim, it's able to do 4K. And I think one of the biggest things and why you can see Microsoft being really offensive is the price is $299. It's not way overpriced. It's like you could buy if you want bigger terabytes, it's like 350 to 400 if you want like a 1 terabyte and a 2 terabyte, which makes perfect sense because memory that big costs a pretty good deal amount of money, and so. But I think it's very much adequately priced, and I think it does. I think it's a very much a good system seller in a lot of sense. It runs better, it has better RDMI type outputs and stuff like that, and I think it's a very smart thinking system, and I think it's very good. I think a lot of people will be drawn to this system. I was actually when I saw it originally, I was really impressed, and actually I was like, maybe I should consider buying the Microsoft Slim because I haven't gotten into the Xbox One franchise yet. And after this press conference, I think I really do want to get into it. And so after seeing the Xbox Slim, and then the last thing they really showed us was the Xbox Scorpio, which is a really interesting thing. So the Xbox Scorpio is intriguing in a lot of categories, just because it probably is more powerful than the PlayStation Neo in a lot of sense. Which actually, this is the reason I think why we see Xbox being more offensive in a lot of sense is because they're basically saying these are our graphics, these are way better than what you got, and now you're gonna have to now defend. PlayStation now is gonna have to defend for what we just did, and so you could definitely see through that. Like Xbox is very offensive minded in a lot of sense. Like here we go. Here's we do have the PlayStation Scorpio. It is happening, and we're going to announce it. And it's going to happen in the coming months, in the next year or so. Supposedly, the Scorpio is coming in 2017 in the holidays, and so that is one cool thing. I think the next really probably the most interesting information so far, or interesting program that they're kind of doing, is the fact that when you buy Xbox games, you will also get a PC version, Xbox and PC thing. So instead of like last year we said we had Xbox exclusive, we now have Xbox and PC exclusive. And so Microsoft has been wanting to put their communities together with PC and stuff like that. And it's going to be real interesting how PC gamers kind of react with this. I think it's good for like Xbox gamers who are not really big into PC gaming. I think it gives them a way of getting into that. But for PC gamers, like people that use Twitch primarily, I was talking to my brother earlier, like about this, and my brother was like, if you're probably a Steam user, you're probably more likely than going to kind of do mods and this other stuff. And usually, what we've seen through through Microsoft is like they don't do as much mods and stuff like that. It's very much hard to do mods and so I think one thing we're gonna have to see is will Microsoft allow the uses of mods and stuff like that. But it's really interesting them trying to do like one ecosystem, and it's going to be interesting to see kind of what is the response from Sony. Like, do they care or do they not care? And are we going? Is Sony like, oh well, we're going to probably go to one ecosystem eventually, and it'll be interesting to see kind of what this response is. I think it's one of the most underrated type thing, but I think it could also be one of the biggest, um, like surprise. Like this is one of the biggest news actually of the day. And also the where cross buy type thing basically starts with I believe Gears of War 4. So those are really the kind of the big announcements. The other ones were like they started communities and all sorts of different things. Kind of moving forward to like the games. Like the games really were impressive today. Like for Microsoft, I really liked what they showed me. Like I thought really they went straight out of the bat with Gears of War 4, which looks amazing. For me, like I really was impressed with the first Gears of War trailer when it premiered at E3 last year, but I was really impressed with what they did this year. I like the dust aspects. I thought the background looks really good, and I think so. It really was a very much impressive demo. It made me really want to play that game. I love the Gears of War series overall, and I'm looking forward to see what I see. So that was one game. I think the other games that were really impressive, like Recore was intriguing, although you definitely could tell it was like a lot lower budget in a lot of sense. And it's probably the reason we'll see it out quicker. That's why we see it probably out in August, October. So they probably took less time to develop. It'll be interesting to see. Inafune, the guy who did Mega Man, was a part of that. Like, how much did he help in terms of creating that? In terms of that, there's a lot of interesting questions in terms of that game, Recore. But it's not as impressive as like I thought about it like last time. Kind of going through like the games, kind of like what was impressive, what really stuck out to me. I think the biggest one that I really liked was State of Decay 2. I think that was one of the biggest reveals at the press conference. I think most of the games so far were kind of like we kind of already knew about it. State of Decay was kind of like hinted at, and I think if they do what they did with State of Decay and make it just even bigger, I think it's going to be a great game. I think it's going to be a really solid zombie game. Looking forward to see more of that in the coming future and see what they do with that. I think it's a great win for them. Other games I like Halo Wars. I'm glad they're doing kind of like a beta for this week right now. If you're watching this video for the first week of the week of E3, you can play the beta for Halo Wars. I thought that looked real interesting. It was good that they did a beta. There was other good games. I thought really the ID at Xbox games were really impressive. Like the Inside game, glad to finally get a date for that. The We Are Happy game, which is like this Bioshock type meets also Fallout type game, is really intriguing. I would definitely check out that game if you haven't checked it out already. Very impressive by what I see from that. The only thing I was like really bummed about in terms of the ID with Xbox was the cup-up. Like I was hearing people talk about it. Like this game, like was real impressive at the beginning, but it just really want to like it's either half baked or we really do need like a date for it to happen. It's starting to become just so many different other games that like just go way past. It's gets announced way too early, and now you really want it, and so I just would like them to see them announce like here's a date finally. And so other good like Dead Rising 4 was announced, and that was awesome. Just very solid stuff. Good stuff from Minecraft. You definitely have to recognize them because they Microsoft does own them, and so good stuff from there. And so overall, I thought the conference was great. I think it definitely worked for Microsoft overall. I think that's what they definitely needed. They were very offensive because it's going to be real interesting to see what does PlayStation do. You definitely could tell why PlayStation kind of took Neo out of their press conference was because they looked at the Microsoft specs of the Scorpio and were like, oh, we may have to change what we were doing. And so I think they definitely were definitely very offensive in a lot of sense. And so, guys, what do you think about it? Give me your comments below. Give me your thoughts. I always like your thoughts about press conferences. I think they're one of the coolest things to talk about. And so give me your thoughts about it. Like my video if you like it. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't. And have a great day. And hope you watch this video. Watch my EA or Bethesda. And also check out my my Sony that's coming soon. All right. Bye. Have a good one.